Well, today, Donald Trump took the longest trip of his life. It was from his apartment in Midtown Manhattan to the courthouse in Lower Manhattan, where he would be fingerprinted and discover the contents of a 34-count indictment against him. He rode along the river that separated him from his dream when he was growing up in Queens and started off in the real estate business with his father in Queens. The East River, separating Queens from Manhattan, might have felt like the Atlantic Ocean at times to Donald Trump. His very rich father was never able to make the big move into Manhattan real estate, and Donald Trump craved making it in Manhattan, which, in his terms, he finally did. Today was the day Donald Trump had been flirting with his entire career, first in Queens, then in Manhattan, then in politics, the possibility of being charged with a crime. When he lived in Queens and worked in Queens, Manhattan was everything to Donald Trump, and today it was Manhattan that brought him down to the status of criminal defendant for the first time in his life. The highway that carried Donald Trump along the East River is named after someone who was born into what Donald Trump always dreamed of being accepted by: Manhattan aristocracy. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was descended from the original Dutch settlers of Manhattan. He went on to become the most successful president in American history. Unlike Donald Trump, FDR was reelected, not just once, 3 times. Franklin Roosevelt won World War II, and before that, he created Social Security, the minimum wage, the 40-hour work week, and changed the very purpose of government to serve people in ways never imagined by any president before him. FDR Drive may be America's most famous urban highway, and riding on it today to his arraignment, Donald Trump knew there will never be anything like FDR Drive, named after Donald Trump in his hometown. Here is District Attorney Alvin Bragg's description of Donald Trump's criminal conduct.
Less than 2 weeks before the presidential election, Michael Cohen wired $130,000 to Stormy Daniels' lawyer. That payment was to hide damaging information from the voting public. The participant scheme was illegal. The scheme violated New York election law, which makes it a crime to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. The $130,000 wire payment exceeded the federal campaign contribution cap, and the false statements in AMI's books violated New York law. That is why Mr. Trump made false statements about his payments to Mr. Cohen. He could not simply say that the payments were a reimbursement for Mr. Cohen's payments to Stormy Daniels. To do so, to make that true statement, would have been to admit a crime. So instead, Mr. Trump said that he was paying Mr. Cohen for fictitious legal services in 2017 to cover up actual crime committed the prior year. And in order to get Michael Cohen his money back, they planned one last false statement. In order to complete the scheme, they planned to mischaracterize the repayments to Mr. Cohen as income to the New York State tax authorities. The conduct I just described, and that which was charged by the grand jury, is felony criminal conduct in New York State.